Kahea na omakua na la'a holoholona na kupuna me ka'ua kaukeia. Kokua ka'ua malama pu'uwai hamama manao hamama. Mahalo nui loa ko aloha palena ole mene mene palena ole. Mahalo nui loa kako. Mahalo nui loa. E amama. Aloha my dear ones, and welcome to today's episode of I Am Aloha. Yes, it's another day and for more inspirations. So just to sum it up, we've done the whole 7 principles of the Huna philosophy. We've spoken about Ho'oponopono, and for today I realized I wanted to talk to you about how to use these 7 principles to bring more lightness into your life. So, and also to give you a kind of like basically a feeling of how to do that, or because I want to share with you how I usually do this, how I work out I call them topics because I don't like to call them problems because it gives them a negative tonation. So I call them my topics, and my topics are old patterns, fear, anger and pain that we have from other things that we've lived in our own life. So what I do is I look at them depending on what happens. Like if let's take an example. During the day I experience something with a colleague or maybe with a friend, a situation that is not so beautiful for myself. I feel, let's say I feel angry about something. So I have this anger, and it's my decision to say, do I want to dwell in the anger or do I want to change something about it? So first thing of all is always take a couple of deep breaths and ground yourself, and then just acknowledge what anger, what type of anger. Maybe you get a feeling of where it comes from, what it is. But what I usually try to do is not to move into, oh, that person is so bad to me or has done whatever they want to, whatever you want. As an example, but if you change it and ask yourself, what is this person trying to show me? I know at the beginning it's not so easy. For me it was a little bit harder at the beginning because I feel like it's a muscle that you just have to train more and more, because we're so used to, when we're angry, to go into this anger and maybe even keep it for a couple of days. So as we learned, the world is what you think. So if you have negative thoughts, that's what you're going to be attracting, right? So how to shift your conscience and that's really practicing that when you are, for example, angry, to just give it a moment, I felt that for me the best way is to give it some space, allow it to be, but not to react on it. Just letting it be a little bit, because we don't want to suppress it. That's not going to be good. So give it some space, and then start analyzing what kind of pain, what kind of anger it is, why it is there, in the sense of, what is this person bringing up in me? What kind of feelings, and why do I have them? And if I see it as a mirror, what is this person mirroring to myself? Is this something, I don't know, like, are they showing me, for example, that I'm not respecting myself? If I feel that this person has said something that's not respecting me, is it showing me that I don't respect myself? Or is this person showing me that I am not taking time for myself? That's one topic that I used to be very good at because I used to have people come up to me and wanting help from me, which was really awesome because I like helping. But at some point when you don't even have time for yourself anymore, you get lost in it. So I realized I was getting angry at people asking for help, and asking for my time. And when I looked at it, basically it was because it was mirroring to myself that I wasn't giving myself enough time. So once you realize that what the mirror is in the topic, then you can work with that. Because in our example, about the time, I started to give myself more time and to really like build in the time, and then I didn't have any problem when people were coming up to me asking for my time or my help, because I was fine with it, because I was already bringing it more into my life. So it's the same thing if you have a fear. Let me think about a fear. For if someone is mirroring you their own fears on you, sometimes it is that for me those things sometimes mean that I have an old pattern inside of me. I like that. I like to see it a little bit with, for example, with your parents, because at one point we are spiritual people, or we realize that we are spiritual people, and maybe we didn't have parents that came from that spiritual world as well. And then you have someone there and you start to evolve, and you start to learn not to be so fearful anymore, to be in a good place and to be fine with yourself and with everyone around you. And then you have a parent that comes up and you tell them something about yourself, and then they go like, oh my God, but how are you going to do this? Or are you sure that's going to work out? And you see that it's actually their fear coming up. So if you're fine with that fear, that's not going to do, I mean, if you've already overcome a fear like that, you're not going to have an effect. If they start talking like that, you're just going to roll over it a little bit. You're not going to let it dig deep inside of you. But if you have that same kind of fear somewhere, even if it's only hidden somewhere really underneath, then that fear is going to it's going to come up once your parent says it, or once, maybe even if it's a friend, when they say something like that, your fear is going to come up, and you're going to be, oh my God, they're right. What if, like that. You probably know that. And it's okay, because it just shows you that there's still a fear hidden somewhere. So what I do with and what I do with those kind of things, if I've really realized that, oh my God, I'm really walking with this fear. I'm allowing it to be next to me. So I look at it and I see what kind of fear is it and why do I have it. And then I start asking myself, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if for whatever I'm trying to do, right? And I'm talking about things like people getting new jobs, making new hobbies, and or maybe even trying to, basically I think in our generation or in our societies, mainly because of job wise, because it's kind of like you're trying to do maybe something on your own, and then you get a sentence like that, and then your own fear comes up because you're trying to build something for yourself, or maybe being really creative, and someone else is going like, oh, but you can't really start doing things like that, because it's too risky or whatever. And then you react like that, and you look at that fear and ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? And most of the times you're going to be able to answer that you're not going to be, those are things that you're not going to die from that. You're not going to have anyone in your family dying from that. And it's just a natural fear because you're changing something maybe that's out of the I'm putting this in brackets, out of the normal view of the society, but you're changing for yourself for a better way. And then you can really try to reason with yourself what the worst things are that can happen, because whatever answers you're going to give yourself that might not allow you to do that are going to always show you another fear. And once you walk through all those fears, you're going to see certain patterns where you have, let's say something where you think, where you can change your way of thinking about it, right? Because why are you afraid to do something? Maybe you're judging it wrong. If you want to say, let's say this, for example, someone wants to get a new job and your parents has that's going to be very risky. But the only risk that you're taking is actually that doesn't work out, so you'll just go back to the old job, because you're always going to be, if someone is willing to find a job, you're always going to find a job. Because if you put your head to it, like we learned, you're going to be manifesting it and bringing it into your life. And so if you want to have a new job that's a little bit risky, go ahead and do it, because you can manifest it to work out. And if you have this old fear coming in, then you look at it, because that's going to be what you're attracting. So it's good for you with your mind to help your mind, or to help your subconscious overcome this fear, or at least ignore it as much that it doesn't emanate to the outside of yourself. So let's say you have this this job you want to do, and you have this fear about it, and then you look at it. What's going to happen? You can always go back to the way things were before. But if you haven't tried something, you're not going to know what it's worth, right? So when the fear comes up, look at it and look the patterns you're having, because you're going to see that a lot of those are just patterns in your head. And what you can do with that is either you are already, let's say your brain muscle is strong enough that you're already able to flip thoughts like that, or maybe it's not yet that good, but or maybe it's something that's a little bit deeper than only in the thoughts. That's when it goes into the emotions, I think. And those are the moments, for example, where I use Ho'oponopono. So I go into, like I explained in the other podcasts, where you use this for yourself, and you go into the emotion and you transform the emotion by giving it the qualities of love, forgiveness. And that helps you lift that part, and then you can help your brain again, or your thoughts again, by shifting them, by really changing them into transforming them into what you want it to be. So that was the example of fear. And basically, those are the ways I look at myself. Another thing that I find very important is when you have topics coming up, it's not always easy to get to the bottom of them. Like we just explained, to find out why they are there, what they're mirroring. Is it a mirror for myself? I mean, like, am I mirroring something that I'm doing to myself, or is it a mirror of something that I'm doing to someone else? And sometimes there are certain things that come up that don't show themselves that good. So there's like an emotion coming up, and we're not sure where it's from, so we're not sure how to deal with it. And what I realized is that that is also very important, to be able to let that flow, not to put yourself under pressure, to, like, you don't have to deal with all your topics at the same time. all at once, and you know, like, and you don't have to do one after another and go like in a fabric, doing one after you know, like doing one after another in no pause and everything. Sometimes we need our breaks in between. And as human beings, you're going to see that you're just going to have a couple of days where you're going to dwell in a pain, or you're going to dwell in a fear, because somehow you just need it, or you just, something inside of you is not ready to let it go. So the important thing also dealing with your own topics is acknowledging yourself, being very mindful with yourself, and allowing yourself to also sometimes not be able to overcome things too fast, because each of us has their own way of how do you say, your own speed. Every one of us has their own speed, and do that in your own time. Okay, so that's also one thing, because I've realized that the more we press on ourselves, the more we stress ourselves, the less we walk ahead. You know, there are several, I think, Asian proverbs that say, if you're in a hurry, don't run, walk slow. And that actually also goes for these things. Because sometimes the moment you stop thinking about them, you stop overanalyzing yourself, you're going to get the solutions for everything. I had that actually a couple of weeks ago. I received a letter that had to do with some bureaucratic part here in Germany. And that letter wasn't that bad. But in that moment, somehow that letter triggered an old fear that I know is there, and I've been working on it. I'm just not letting it overrun me. But it triggered it, and I realized it was coming up. And I felt it being there, you know. But at the same time, I realized, because I've been practicing, I realized that this is not doing me any good to dwell in this fear. So So I just wanted to leave it and let it be for a little bit. And I did that. And the good thing is that I did so, because I decided not to dive into it. I said, I'm going to put you aside and you're going to receive your space, but just not right now. And I did that, and I passed the whole day. And in the evening, it came back again a little bit. And I took it again, and I acknowledged it again for being there. And then I said, okay, you know what? I know I can't change anything about it right now, but I'd like to have the solution for it in the morning. And I went to bed with that in my head, envisioning that I'll have the solution the next morning. And that's what happened. The next morning, I had no more doubts that were coming up from that. For me, it was doubts, this fear mixed with doubts. And it was gone, because I had the solution, how to react to this letter, and I knew how to work with it, and it was fine. So that's another thing, is giving yourself the time also to have things happen to you, but also allowing them to sit for a bit, not allowing yourself to jump into them. And then when you're ready to take them on, then bring them up and look at them and give them space. That's also something that I feel is very important. And again, allow yourself to have the time, because it's not good if you're fighting against yourself. Because if you're stressing yourself about it, it's like you're fighting yourself, going like, you need to do this. Why can't I find the solution? I want to find the solution. You know, you already feel it. It's like, oh, it's pushing. And you're pushing yourself. It's no one else. It's yourself. So that's also one thing, like learning not to be too impatient with yourself. And that's also, again, like the other muscle, it's something that you can train with time. So those are the things, that's how I deal with my topics, with my pain, my fear. And I think it's good to allow yourself to do that. And I think it's also very good to go into the self-reflection, because you're going to see, you're going to feel how the self-reflection is going to allow you to become a lighter person with less fears, with more gratitude, with more, with more power for yourself, being able to change things for yourself, with more freedom, with more peace inside of you. And I'm hoping that I can give you more and more of these inspirations on the Fridays, but because I like to share this because it's amazing how you can become weightless with it. So, I hope to be able to give you more in the next couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next Friday. I think this was enough for today. And, I wish you a great weekend. Have an awesome next week. And I'm looking forward to talking to you. Have a great time. Bye. Ahoy ho. Thanks a lot for tuning in again. I hope you were able to have some good takeaways for yourself. Please don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, and if you'd like to receive some information about actual energies and more inspirational information, sign up to my newsletter. You can find the link on my website www.iamaloha.de. I am looking forward to talk to you again next time, and until then, aloha mahalo, e ho'omaikai kako, e ahui ho.